The sky above Outpost Vega 19 was too still. Captain Elena Ward sensed it before she could reason it. The silence wasn't natural, not for a border outpost perched between human-claimed space and the unexplored void. The hum of the wind turbines, the low chatter of technicians, even the usual radio static felt muted, like the entire frontier was holding its breath. She leaned on the rail of the observation deck, gazing at the vast stretch of stars beyond the sensor towers. A faint vibration rippled through the deck plating, barely noticeable, but absolutely wrong. Behind her, Lieutenant Carter Hayes jogged up the stairs. "Captain, you need to see this." Elena didn't answer. She was already moving, already knowing the universe had just shifted. Inside the command dome, chaos simmered under strained discipline. Analysts crowded around the holographic table. The blue sphere representing Vega 19 pulsed with warning lights as foreign signatures accumulated around it like a tightening noose. "Talk," Elena said sharply. Dr. Mara Ellison, civilian xenologist, pointed at the data spikes. "These readings, they're not natural. Formation patterns, synchronized movement. Someone is out there." Carter swallowed. Not just someone. An entire fleet. The hologram zoomed out and the air left the room. Dozens of vessels. Sleek. Black. Unfamiliar. Not matching any known species in the galactic registers. Their formation was predatory, like wolves closing in. "They were cloaked," Mara whispered. "We didn't detect them until they were close enough to strike." Elena's jaw tightened. "Send a transmission to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Vega 19 is under imminent threat." Carter hesitated. "Captain, they're jamming long-range comms." A cold weight settled in her chest. That meant intelligence. Planning. Intent. "Sound the evacuation alarm," Elena ordered. "Get civilians to the shelters. Activate the orbital guns." Before her command could be executed, the lights flickered. Every screen in the dome glitched into darkness. A low rumble resonated through the foundation, deep, resonant, like the voice of a dying world. And then the first shot hit. A spear of white fire tore through the horizon, striking the shield dome with the force of a newborn star. The entire outpost shook violently. People stumbled, alarms went shrill, and the dome's energy barrier rippled like a wounded animal. "Shields at 30%, someone shouted. "Return fire." Elena barked. The orbital guns lit up the sky, launching beams of ionized plasma at the unknown fleet. But even from the command dome, Elena could see the truth. The enemy ships barely flinched. They moved with disturbing precision, gliding through weapons fire as if it were a gentle rain. Another blast slammed into the outpost, harder this time. The lights exploded in a shower of sparks. "Elena!" Mara shouted. "Look!" On the hologram, as systems struggled back online, a new image blinked into existence, a symbol. A crimson spiral. It rotated slowly, menacingly, as if aware it was being observed. "What the hell is that?" Carter breathed. Message decoded, an AI voice crackled through static. "Alien transmission, translated." The speaker screeched, then a voice, inhuman, resonant, layered with strange harmonics, filled the dome. "This territory belongs to the Velith Dominion. Human expansion ends here." A cold wave passed through everyone in the room. The Velith Dominion? Unknown. Undocumented. A species bold enough to attack a fortified human outpost without fear of retaliation. Elena set her jaw. "Not on my watch." The third blast hit. But this one wasn't aimed at the shields, it struck the power core beneath the command dome. The world erupted. The floor buckled. Explosions tore through the walls. Elena felt herself thrown backward, her vision flooded with white heat and shattering steel. When she came to, she was on the ground, ears ringing, smoke choking the air. Carter was dragging her upright. "We have to move. The dome is collapsing." Half the roof had caved in. Fire spewed from exposed conduits. Mara was trying to pull an unconscious technician out from under a beam. "Elena, please," Carter urged. But Elena pulled free and sprinted toward Mara, helping lift the beam long enough for the technician to be dragged clear. The three of them stumbled out of the dome moments before it collapsed in a roar of flame and metal. Outside, the outpost was hell. Buildings burned. Defense towers lay toppled. People screamed through smoke-filled streets. The sky boiled with plasma fire as the enemy fleet continued its relentless assault. Elena felt a surge of fury burn through her. "Carter, Mara, get to the emergency bunker. Secure the civilians. Buy me 3 minutes." "What are you doing?" Mara demanded. "I'm sending a manual distress beacon to Earth. If we die without warning them, humanity won't stand a chance." Carter grabbed her arm. "Elena, that's a suicide run." She met his eyes. "Then let's pray I survive long enough to hit the switch." The communications spire was at the far edge of the outpost, beyond the medbay ruins and the shattered supply hangar. Elena sprinted through debris, ducking behind burning vehicles, her lungs raw from smoke. Enemy drones zipped across the battlefield, small, triangular machines emitting eerie blue light. One scanned the corpse of a fallen soldier, then fired a bolt of energy, vaporizing it. Elena's pulse quickened. She moved silently until she was close enough to the spire's base only to freeze as a drone hovered directly over her path. Its lens swiveled toward her. Elena dove behind a chunk of collapsed wall as a plasma bolt scorched the dirt inches from her head. She rolled, grabbed a broken rebar rod, and hurled it with desperate force. The rod struck the drone's stabilizer. It spiraled wildly and crashed in a burst of sparks. Elena didn't wait. She sprinted to the spire doors, forcing them open with her shoulder, and stumbled inside. Power flickered. Console sparked. But the emergency beacon module, thank God, was intact. She slammed her hand onto the manual override. The panel lit up faintly. "Authorization required," the AI croaked. "Captain Elena Ward. Code 72 Black." A pause, then a soft beep. "Beacon activated. Long-range burst transmitting." Elena exhaled sharply. Outside, the bombardment intensified. The ground shook violently. A massive shadow passed over the room, the silhouette of the largest alien ship yet. The Velith were preparing the final strike. She ran back into the burning remains of the outpost, heading toward the bunker. Just as a blinding white orb descended from the flagship's underbelly. It expanded, slowly, silently, and then the world detonated. Elena felt herself lifted off the ground, thrown into darkness, and swallowed by the roar of annihilation. Then nothing. Sometime later, in the distant black of space, the emergency distress signal from Outpost Vega 19 reached Earth. And when Earth heard what had happened, humanity did not mourn. Humanity prepared for war. The broadcast room inside Earth Command was silent when the signal arrived. It wasn't just the static choked distress call from Outpost Vega 19, it was the visual feed embedded in the final transmission burst. Grainy but unmistakable, black alien ships descending on the human outpost like vultures, plasma storms ripping through steel and stone, and the final white flash that swallowed everything. General Marcus Hale stood motionless as the screen replayed the last frame, the crimson spiral symbol of the Velith Dominion. No one in the room dared speak. Finally, Hale exhaled. The air tasted metallic, cold. "Get me a list of all personnel at Vega 19, he commanded quietly. The officer at the console swallowed. "General, there are no survivors listed so far." Hale's jaw tightened. He had met Captain Elena Ward once, sharp mind, unshakable resolve. If she was gone, humanity had lost one of its finest. But grief would come later. Right now, Earth had been attacked. And the consequence for that had already been written into the founding charter of the Terran Defense Accord. If any alien force strikes humanity first, Earth will strike last. Hale straightened. Activate the Valkyrie protocol. A collective breath sucked in from the command staff. The Valkyrie protocol had never been used. It meant total military mobilization. Fleet activation. Permission for retaliatory force at a galactic scale. General, the communications officer said hesitantly, that protocol will commit Earth to survival, Hale snapped. To justice. The Velith Dominion hit a human world. They think we're vulnerable. His eyes hardened to steel. We will show them how wrong they are. Within minutes, alarms echoed through Earth's orbital stations. Massive blast doors opened across military shipyards. The planet's most advanced warships, many still experimental, awoke from their cold slumber. At the center of it all stood the flagship TDS Retribution, a fortress of titanium carbide plating, quantum rail cannons, and a dark matter reactor humming with restrained rage. Earth was not simply preparing for a war. Earth was preparing to erase the Velith Dominion from the stars. Aboard the medical ship Solace, drifting just beyond Vega 19, a faint distress ping illuminated a small monitor. Nurse Brandon Wolfe frowned. Another debris beacon? He triangulated the signal. It was weak. Damaged. Interference cut the signature apart like a scrambled heartbeat. But something was off. The signature wasn't from a beacon. It was from a suit. A human suit. Brandon's eyes widened. Bridge, this is medical. I need shuttle clearance. Now. Within minutes, he and two search and rescue technicians descended toward the charred remains of Vega 19. The outpost was unrecognizable, a scar of glassed earth, smoking craters, and jagged silence. The shuttle's scanners pinged again. Brandon stepped out onto the ruin-strewn ground. His boots crunched through ash. There, one technician shouted. Something gleamed beneath the collapsed support beam. They hurried forward and began lifting debris away. Metallic shards. Burned girders. And then an armored sleeve. Brandon's breath caught. They cleared the last chunks, revealing a battered but intact survival suit, its visor cracked but not shattered. Inside was Captain Elena Ward. Barely alive. She has a pulse. Brandon shouted. Weak, but present. The technicians rushed to load her into the shuttle. As they ascended back into orbit, the outpost finally fell behind them, nothing left but the echo of invasion and a single survivor with a story the galaxy needed to hear. Elena woke in fragments. Light. Pain. A faint antiseptic smell. Voices drifted around her, muffled like underwater echoes. Incredible, she lived. Oxygen levels stabilized. Notify Earth Command. When her vision finally cleared, she found General Hale standing beside her bed, face stern but full of unmistakable relief. Captain Ward, he said quietly, we thought you were dead. Elena tried to sit up. Pain exploded across her ribs. Vega 19, the Velith, they struck without warning. They cloaked themselves. Jammed our comms. We saw, Hale replied. We saw everything. Her eyes widened. Did the beacon reach Earth? Yes. And because of that, we're launching a response. The biggest one in human history. He stepped aside so she could see the holographic projection beside him, an outline of the Velith Empire's star systems, their territory highlighted in crimson. We're not going to let what happened to Vega 19 happen to anyone else. Elena swallowed hard. General, their technology. It was unnatural. Their weapons made our defenses feel like paper. That's why you're here, Hale said. We need every detail you remember. Every ship configuration. Every tactic. Every weakness. Elena's gaze drifted, haunted. They enjoyed it, she whispered. The attack. Their precision, their cruelty. They weren't testing us. They were exterminating us. Hale placed a hand on her shoulder. Not anymore. The war councils convened in orbit above Earth. Admirals, commanders, scientists, they studied every fragment of data Elena provided. Her memories became strategies. Her trauma became battle plans. Her survival became a rallying cry. And across Earth's networks, a message spread. They attacked a human outpost. Earth will answer. Factories shifted from civilian production to military manufacturing. Planetary shields activated. Defense satellites aligned. The Terran fleet assembled into formation, hundreds of warships stretching across the darkness like a rising storm. Among them, Elena, still injured, demanded a position aboard Retribution. General Hale protested. "You need rest." "What I need," she replied coldly, "is to see the Velith pay for what they did." There was no arguing with her. She had earned the right to stand at the front. At the same time, in the heart of the Velith Dominion, the Council of Sovereigns gathered. The largest of the Velith, a towering figure of bioluminescent armor in shifting tendrils, hissed in irritation. The humans responded faster than projected. Another chimed in, metallic voice echoing across the chamber. "Let them come. Their retaliation will serve as a warning to lesser species." A third sovereign slashed its claws through a hologram of Earth's fleet. "We will extinguish them at the border. Their courage will wither in the presence of the Dominion." But one sovereign, eyes dim but aware, murmured a warning. "Do not underestimate humanity. They have survived their own extinction more than once." The others laughed, a disturbing, layered resonance. They did not yet understand. They would. Back aboard Retribution, Elena stood on the bridge as Earth's fleet jumped into Velith territory. The stars stretched into streams of white light before snapping back into focus. Before them lay the first Velith stronghold, an immense fortress world ringed by thousands of gun stations. Elena exhaled slowly. "This is for Vega 19, she whispered. General Hale nodded. "Fire." Every Terran warship unleashed their opening salvo. The darkness ignited in a blinding wave of raw fury, rail cannons, plasma torpedoes, EMP lances ripping through the void. The war for humanity had begun. And Earth intended to finish it. The first Terran salvo struck the Velith fortress world with the fury of a god awakened. The sky above the alien planet blossomed with white fire as rail cannon slugs shattered perimeter towers, plasma torpedoes ripped through shield grids, and the darkness of space itself glowed under the incandescent rage of Earth's retaliation. On the bridge of the TDS Retribution, Captain Elena Ward braced herself against the pulse of the ship as another wave of Terran firepower surged past the hull. General Marcus Hale stood beside her, face grim, eyes unblinking as he watched the assault unfold. "Velith defenses holding at 60%, the tactical officer reported. But they're weakening. Keep pressure on their shield lattices," Hale ordered. "We're not letting them regroup." Elena's gaze flicked to the hologram of the battlefield, a labyrinth of hostile signatures, enemy fighter swarms, and the massive command citadel embedded into the planet's crust. The Velith had expected a frightened, scattered human response. What they got was a coordinated armada with vengeance burning in its heart. As Terran ships accelerated into attack patterns, Elena felt a tremor of awe. This is everything the Dominion never believed we could do." Hale nodded. "They underestimated one species in all the galaxy." His voice hardened. "Ours." The Velith retaliated with monstrous ferocity. Sickles of ultraviolet energy sliced across the void, shearing through the hull of a Terran cruiser. A blossom of flame erupted as the ship split apart. "Defensive formations hold." Hale barked. "Bring the shield carriers forward." Massive Terran shield ships surged into position, projecting shimmering barriers that absorbed the next wave of alien fire. Still, the Velith kept coming. Hundreds of their fighters swarmed like metallic hornets, weaving through debris, firing concentrated beams that tore apart smaller Terran vessels. Elena watched a destroyer rupture across its midsection. The bridge fell silent for a moment. "Send medical shuttles," Elena murmured. "There's no one alive to recover," the tactical officer whispered. Elena's stomach twisted, Vega 19's destruction still burned in her memory like a scar. She forced the pain down. "Not again. Not one more world." "General," she said, voice steady, "if we hit their command citadel, their entire fleet loses coordination. They're centralized. Old world tactics. Hale's eyes narrowed. You're certain? I've seen how they operate. Cut the head. The body collapses, Hale finished. He slammed his fist onto the railing. All forward fire on the Citadel. Bring Retribution into strike position. The ship roared as its dark matter reactor powered up, pushing the vessel ahead of the main Terran lines. Enemy fire hammered the shields, making the deck quiver. Shields at 50%. 45. 30. Elena. Hale shouted over the tremors. If we don't break their command structure now, we may not get another chance. She steadied herself. Then we don't miss. The Velith flagship rose from behind the Citadel like a waking titan, sleek, black, armored in shimmering plates that shifted colors as though alive. A terrible, resonant voice echoed through the comm system. Humans! You trespassed upon Dominion space. You struck our children. Now witness annihilation. Elena's blood froze. That's them, she breathed. The ones who ordered Vega 19's destruction. The Velith flagship unleashed a beam of crystalline energy that tore through the void and slammed into Retribution's shield array. The impact hurled officers from their stations. Shield integrity critical. We can't take another hit. The bridge erupted with sparks as consoles overloaded. Hale gritted his teeth. Bring the rail lance online. A hush fell across the room. The rail lance was Earth's most dangerous weapon, a linear accelerator capable of firing a tungsten rod at relativistic speed. It had never been used outside simulations. It could crack the planet's crust, Elena warned. That's exactly the point, Hale replied. The lights dimmed. The ship vibrated like a coiled beast. Target the Velith Command Citadel, Hale ordered. Locked. Fire. The rail lance roared a single, piercing flash that cut through space like a spear hurled by an ancient warrior. The tungsten rod slammed into the shield barrier around the Velith Citadel. And shattered it. The Citadel trembled. Then it split apart in a blinding vertical fissure. Shockwaves spiraled across the fortress world as molten veins opened across its surface. Velith ships faltered mid-flight, their perfect coordination dissolving into chaos. Elena's heart pounded. It worked. Hale's voice was iron. Now finish the job. Terran ships surged forward. Without central command, the Velith fleet became disorganized, overlapping fire patterns, friendly fire collisions, chaotic maneuvers. Elena watched as a Velith cruiser smashed into its own gun tower. General, the tactical officer said, eyes wide, they're falling apart. Literally. Hale's expression didn't soften. Press the attack. No survivors. Retribution fired volley after volley. Plasma torpedoes pierced enemy hulls. Pulsar beams tore through retreating formations. The night sky over the fortress world became a canvas of fire. The Velith screamed across the calms, metallic, layered voices dissolving into panic. The humans are relentless. Our shields failing. Retreat! Retreat! No retreat would save them now. Elena watched the planet's crust fracture further. Towers collapsed. Energy conduits exploded in violet flames. This is the price of genocide, she whispered. Only the Velith flagship remained a wounded monster, armor cracked, but still burning with hate. It charged toward Retribution in a final suicidal attack. Evasive maneuvers. Hale shouted. The flagship fired wild, unstable beams as it closed the distance. Elena stepped forward. General, let me end this. Hale turned. What do you have in mind? A direct hit to their bridge. A focused strike. I know their structure. I saw it when they attacked us. Hale studied her face, the fury, the resolve, the trauma sharpened into purpose. Do it. Elena took helm control, her hands steady despite the shaking deck. She waited. The flagship grew larger in the viewscreen. Now, she whispered. Retribution's forward guns fired a synchronized triple-burst, 3 plasma spheres that shot across the void, carving a path through the broken remains of the flagship's outer hull. The bridge exploded in a sphere of blinding white fire. The Velith flagship disintegrated, scattering into glowing shards that drifted like dying embers across the atmosphere of their collapsing world. Silence filled the bridge. Then, Velith Fleet Signature, 0, the officer whispered. They're gone. All of them. Elena exhaled shakily, tears stinging her eyes. It was over. The Velith Dominion, once a shadowy empire that believed itself invincible, was no more. Hours later, after Terran forces had secured the system and confirmed no surviving enemy forces, General Hale stood on a platform overlooking the shattered planet. Elena stepped beside him, her uniform torn, injuries still wrapped in medical seals. "We did it," she said softly. Hale nodded. "You survived the worst they could do. And because of that, humanity survived too." Elena looked out at the burning horizon. "For Vega 19, she whispered. "For every world they would have taken next," Hale added. He straightened, looking at the wreckage of a fallen empire. "Let this be a warning," he said, voice low and heavy. "To any power that thinks humanity is weak." Elena finished the thought for him. "We don't start wars. But we end them." As the star rose over the ruins of the Velith Dominion, bathing the battlefield in gold light, humanity stood victorious not because it was the strongest species, but because it was the one species that refused to die quietly. And the galaxy would never forget.